Hello and welcome to Higginsanity. Of course, the dog would flap her ears
He's
right
the
when
host, Jay Higgins, with the
I.
dog in the background. I'm your co-host, Dan Slott, and we're just gonna start off like that because you know what? Shit happens.
Welcome to Higginsanity.
That's what it is. That's what we do.
Oh man. So
So it's
let's talk about Thursday night, since today is
let's
Friday.
not let's not talk about Thursday night. I
I'm
don't
kind of
like it.
upset that I didn't start Montgomery in my lineups now that that all happened. But we'll just play that on off.
Yeah, I'm just upset about the game. I had no faith. I had no faith in them once they started off like that, and even when they got within one touchdown. My buddy was texting me. He was like, "Ooh, there's a chance." I'm like, "No, they played too much like shit for the entire game. They're not going to be able to overtake them." So I just sat there and I drank my whiskey on the rocks and watched the entire game and just suffered.
So
Or the Lions have beat the Packers 4 times in a row since like 1920 or something like that. So that's great.
So my question is, Matt LaFleur
Yep.
keeps saying he needs to get Aaron Jones involved more in the running game, but he only carried the ball 5 times yesterday, right?
Well, I mean, he was coming off a hamstring injury, so I knew he was going to have limited play time and all that. And I think they're going to be a good team. I think Love's going to be a good quarterback. Whether he's going to follow in the footsteps of playing for 15 years and be a Hall of Fame quarterback like Favre and Rodgers,
Mm-hmm.
that's to be determined. But the biggest thing, they just need to be able to practice together. They've already have had so many injuries, secondary, running back, wide receiver. They just need to be able to practice as a team and get that synergy and get it together and be able to play. Um, I mean, it looked terrible. I mean, Love was holding on the ball way too long. The secondary looked like they were playing backyard football and just letting people run past them. Um, it was just ugly. I mean, I went into that game obviously rooting for them, but being a little bit expecting them to lose, and then drive one, they get the pick. Super excited. They didn't get the touchdown, but they got the field goal 3-0, and then they just let the Lions drive down the field. Two big pass plays wide open. I mean, it was they were so wide open. I could have thrown it to you and you could have scored a touchdown. I mean, that's how wide open they were. And it was just ugly. Um, but you know what? They play them a second time, so hopefully by then they'll be good.
No, honestly, you're exactly right with building chemistry. I think in football, building chemistry is huge. You guys got to stay healthy and practice together and build because there's so many moving pieces in that game. You got the offensive line, defensive line, you got wide receivers, you got the quarterback. You got to have all these people on the same page because so many different things can happen. And
Yeah.
so, unfortunately, with the game of football, injuries is a huge part of it. And I feel like the Packers the last few years have been hit with the injury bug, not on just the offensive side, but
Their
defensively,
their
they've
secondary
also, they're.
their secondary is always beat to hell. Always beat to hell. And I absolutely love the dude, but David Bakhtiari was out again. I mean,
Yes.
he's had 3 years in a row of long-term, multiple game injuries where he's not playing. He was out. Another offensive tackle was out, so that doesn't help the offensive line. But I mean, it might be to the point where we look for a permanent replacement for David Bakhtiari. And I hate to say it because that dude is when he's healthy.
He's a beast.
I'll argue with anybody that he's the best left tackle in the league when he's healthy. But the problem is he hasn't been healthy, and it's a reoccurring issue for the last 3 seasons.
Yep, you're right. You're right. That's what I'm saying is, if they stay healthy, they're a good football team. They're a good football
Yeah,
team. And the Lions right now, they look great on both sides of the ball. And I like Jared Goff's comments after like in the press conference because Fitz been saying some stuff about him and he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm just at that poor man's you know what," because he basically said he was a poor man's Matt Ryan. And people forget Jared Goff he went to a Super Bowl,
I'd
and
I'd take Goff over Matt Ryan any day,
yeah,
any day.
like he's a smart quarterback, and they got skill position players, and defensively I mean, what they have 5 sacks last night.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had 10. I don't know. They
Uh,
had a shit ton. It
So
was ugly.
yeah. So honestly, you got the. I feel like we said before. I feel like the Packers and Lions are going to be in that division because the Vikings aren't looking anywhere like what the Vikings look, and we don't even need to even go about the Bears because they're a garbage fire dumpster. Just it's atrocious right now what's
Yeah.
going on over there. I mean, if you have any Bears players on your fantasy football lineup, you put them on your bench or just drop them off in the waivers. That's what you need to do because it's awful. But I feel like you said before, I feel like it's that Packers Lions, and again, the Lions have kind of had their Packers number the last couple years. So
Or game.
yeah, so it's I don't know when. Do you know when they play again? Obviously towards the end of the season.
It's yeah, it's usually the last one of the last 3 weeks of the season.
Okay. But no, on that point, I'm a Bengals fan. So kind of, these first few weeks we've kind of seen what that calf injury has done to Burrow and the fact that he didn't have that off season. He wasn't able to build that chemistry with everybody. Yes, he played college ball with Jamar Chase. Yes, he's played a couple seasons with T. Higgins, but it's different when you go months without playing with each other. Then you go on the football field full speed against these guys. I mean, you can see the effects of that, and you can see the first two games. Obviously, the first game it was god awful. It was atrocious. Scoring 3 points against Cleveland, which I've said every year. Cleveland has had our number, especially the last few years. Burrow has not played well against the Browns, and unfortunately, we had to play two divisional opponents the first two games of the season, which we lose both those games, which is one to go 0-2 is not a good way to start off the season, but to go 0-2 in your own division makes it twice as bad. So
Yeah.
Monday night was a huge win for us, and a good stepping stone to hopefully what's going to be happening the rest of the season. But I want to talk about a positive note about the Bengals. One, I think our defense has looked pretty damn good. You know, if you look at the Browns game and you look at the Ravens game, you take probably a touchdown or points away because we're not going to go for it on 4th and 15 at our own 20 with 12 minutes to go in the game because we haven't done shit on offense the whole game. But we've had a young secondary, and I think they're playing well. We had, I think, 7 sacks Monday night. Trey Hendrickson's looking like Trey Hendrickson, but our O-line has looked great all season. I think Burrow's been sacked, I think, 5 times all season. Donald got through maybe twice Monday night. And, for him not being able to run and move out the pocket, I think the O-line has done their job so far this season. And I think if he was not injured, if he's been able to move around the pocket like he has been in the past, it'd be a different story. But again, last 3 seasons, Burrow, I think, he has a terrible record in those first 3-4 games. So it's like we always turn it around. We always get on a streak. So it's going to come a point where we're not going to be able to do that. It's going to be too late.
Well, and that's the thing. That's part of the reason why I like the NFL so much better than college football, right?
Hmm?
So the Bengals start. What are they? Oh, 1-3,
1-2.
1-2.
Yeah.
All right. They did that last year. They're 1-2. Even if they lose this week, they go 1-3. That's only 4 games. They have 12 more games to play. They can still make it. In college, if that happens, you're done. Like if you lose 2 games in college and
Yep,
you're a potential playoff team, you're done.
you're right.
Like for instance, Notre Dame played OSU. Hard fought game. The coach can't count. They lose in the last second. Fine. They lost 1 game. But if they lose another one, they're done. And their season's over.
Yep.
You can't lose 2 games in college football. And you have to win pretty in college. Like you have to be able to like
Run the
have
score
big
up.
wins and all that. And like for instance, last week the Packers came back from a 17-0 deficit in the fourth quarter. Eked it out, won. Doesn't matter. It was one of the ugliest wins ever, but they won, and that's all that matters in the NFL. Nobody in week 17 is like, well, in week 3, the Packers only won by 1 point, and they came back from a 17. It doesn't matter. Like a win is a win, and it's a win. So even
Yep.
though the Bengals are laying an egg now, it doesn't matter. If they turn it around, put these first 3 weeks behind them, make a Super Bowl run. And that's why I like the NFL so much better, is because these are professional athletes playing a game, and it's sometimes you're KC playing the Bears, and you're up 34-0 in the third quarter, and you're sitting your starters, but sometimes you're eking out a 1 point win. The Colts last week, the kicker made 4 50-plus field goals to eke out a win. It doesn't matter. You got the win. That's all that matters.
Mhm. Exactly, and it was awesome that I got to go to that Monday night football game. 4 rows up in the end zone, I got to see Logan Wilson not only on his one but 2 interceptions uh, in the end zone right there. My dad went with me. Got to have him wear a white shirt with a tiger and with shades on it. He would not wear anything Cincinnati Bengals on it. So the closest thing he would do was I bought him a shirt off Amazon, white shirt off Amazon of a tiger with shades on it. Didn't say anything Cincinnati Bengals because he would not wear that. And he had a great time. He thought it was a great game, loved it. Obviously, he said he would have wished it would have been a Steelers game, but he was amazed of how close we were to the field, about how packed it was. We got to see Chad Johnson and Boomer Esiason.
Yeah, because didn't they
Esiason.
get honored in like the Cincinnati Hall of Fame that game?
Yep, the Ring of Honor. Yep.
Yeah.
So it was super neat to see all that. Chad Johnson is my favorite Bengal of all time. He was the reason why I fell in love with the Cincinnati Bengals. NFL Game Day 2004, PS2. But it was just awesome, and that's my second Bengals game I've been to. It was my first night game, so it was really neat to see all the fireworks, everything going on, and
Dude,
Jamar Chase looked. Go ahead.
I was gonna say a Monday night game is so fun to go to. It is completely different than going to like a 4 o'clock game in the afternoon. A Monday night game has a completely different atmosphere, and it's so much fun. Everybody's just like amped up because, I mean, let's face it, most of the people who are going to a Monday night game aren't working the next day. They took the day off, and everybody, it's so much energy and fun, and everybody's just there to watch football, and
Yes.
it's so much fun.
Oh, it was a great time. I had a blast. Actually, I bought my dog a new Bengals dog dish.
Of course
My
you did.
dad's like, "You really spent $50 on a freaking dog bowl?" And I'm like, "I did." But on a side note, Jamar Chase looked like Jamar Chase finally. It was a great note to see
Yeah,
Jamar Chase look like him.
finally.
Yeah,
I got Burrow and Chase on my fantasy team. It's like for once they actually did something.
I know, I know. Like I said, I think honestly, we've played well against the Titans the last few years. We got them on Sunday, so I think we have
I
another
think
game after that, and then it's our bye week.
I think the Titans game is the game where the Bengals turn it around.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna go in and just honestly just dominate that game.
yeah, we should.
I mean, you should, and I think that'll just emphasize
Yep.
like we're the Bengals, we're here, we're coming back. Like expect us to make a Super Bowl run. I think it could be. I know it's early in the season to say it's a statement game, but because the season is extended now and you have one more game, like this could be the statement early in the season. Here we go.
You're right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it'll be great. And while we were in Cincinnati, since it was my dad's birthday a few days prior, I got him baseball tickets to the Pirates Reds game. So we actually got to go to the Reds game the day before, and it was probably Joey Votto's last home baseball game of his career. And so it was great to see Joey Votto's last at bat. You know, he's holding the helmet up or yelling, Joey, Joey. I mean, it was great. Got to see the Reds and the Bengals won, so it was a good weekend for me. Obviously, my dad was a little salty the Pirates lost on the day before. And he was a little sore because I did make him walk from the hotel across the bridge to the stadium and then to the ballpark and then all the way back. Because I was like, oh, it's only about a mile walk. And he was not very fond of walking across
I
that huge
I
bridge.
can hear him. I can hear him right now. Damn it, Jason! You said this was only a mile walk. How long have we been walking?
He said it was a mile just crossing the bridge. So he was pretty sore when we got back. Like he was gonna be icing down his knees, his ankle. Like he was struggling. But I told him he was a champ for making the walk. He drove the next day, by the way, to the stadium. He wasn't making that walk again. He was like, I'm paying the $50 for parking. I also got interviewed by FanDuel TV when I was down there. They asked me about Joe Burrow being the GOAT, and then they were like, you name somebody like one of your favorite athletes that start with a K, and I'm like King Griffey Jr. First thing that came out to mind, he's like, oh man, perfect. So he handed me the mic and he asked me the questions, and I had to give those answers.
Damn,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. Listened to live music, ate good food. This is what I was gonna tell you because you're a fellow whiskey drinker and all that bourbon,
Yeah,
you know.
yep, yep.
So I had this whiskey. It was called Widow Jane, Old Widow
Mm-hmm.
Jane, and it was aged 10 years. It was
Yep,
absolutely delicious. Probably the
yeah.
best whiskey I've ever had, to be honest. I mean it.
Was it a bourbon? Was it
Yep,
a scotch? Was it
it
a
was a bourbon. It was
okay?
absolutely delicious. I'm almost positive it was a bourbon. I might have to look it up to be double.
What was it called?
Old Widow Jane, and it was aged 10 years. It was absolutely delicious. Got it on the rock. I mean, you could honestly drink it all day. I mean, it was that
Yeah,
great tasting. There was no like, there was like you know how there's some bourbon, some that that aftertaste.
Widow Jane, aged 10 years in New
Yes,
American oak barrels. Yeah,
absolutely delicious.
vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, cream, aroma, taste of orange, maple, cherry, almond.
Yeah, it kind of adds like a sweeter in a
Yeah,
way. Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely delicious to be. I mean, it would.
I'd be down with that.
Yeah.
And it's a small batch, so there's limited quantity.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
Nice.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'd be down with that.
I enjoyed it. That's what I'm saying. It was probably the best bourbon I've tasted, and I had a really good one in Louisville. But I forget what that one was called. Forget what that one was called, but this one was
I
really
mean,
good.
there's a lot of bourbons in Louisville
Yep.
that,
Yep.
Uh, so have you seen Winning Time?
No, but that's on the list. I've seen like bits and pieces.
Dude, dude, watch it. It is phenomenal.
Yeah, because they
It
didn't
is
extend
it
the
is
next season, did
super.
they?
I think there's 3 seasons and it's over. Like it's 3 seasons and done. Like
Yeah,
they close it out after three.
yeah,
And
because
even if you're not, go ahead.
yeah, because I think someone made a comment on the TikTok and said, "Damn, already canceling after 3 seasons. Magic ain't got AIDS yet, man. And I'm like, wow, somebody really just said that. And I'm like, he don't have AIDS, by the way. He had HIV.
Yeah. No, they close it out after three, and they do like how some movies and TV shows they like do the recap at the end and like give facts and stats of like, but they did it right, and it is even if you're not it's obviously based around the Lakers and basketball, but it's not a basketball show. It's more about the behind the scenes, the business aspect of it. John C. Riley fucking nailed that role. It that was some excellent acting by him, and he played that role perfectly. And it's such a good watch. Like I said, even if you're not a basketball fan, watch it because it's that good. They did an excellent job on it.
Isn't Adrian Brody and Pat Riley or something?
Yeah, Adrian
Yep.
Brody plays Pat Riley. Yep,
Yep. Okay.
yep. It is, and Jason Segel, he plays that role. I mean, they just nailed the casting of it, and everybody plays their role so well, and they did a good job um, between the seasons to age the characters naturally as they get older and the seasons go on, and they look so young in the first season, and then they progress and they look a little older, then they look a little older, and it was done really well. Like I stumbled across it, I didn't know it was coming out, or I didn't know it was out. But yeah, put that at the top of your list.
It stinks. I feel like there's a lot of TV shows out there that have ended too soon. That have ended like I feel like they I wish there was one more season or they could have gone for another
Yeah,
couple seasons, but there's always whether it's contracts, whether it's,
yeah.
ties behind the
It it
scenes.
it never ends perfectly. It's always like they strung it along too long and kind of made the show not as good because the last couple seasons suck. Or it's like, where's the next season? Like you cut it off. I want one more.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to get it perfect.
Unlike One Tree Hill, by the way, it was the 20th year anniversary last week. I'm just gonna throw that one out there for all you One Tree Hill fanatics. It was the 20th year anniversary last week. Go Ravens!
I saw a post a couple days ago that The Office is supposedly doing a reunion or a reboot, and I haven't dug into it to see if there's anything behind it, but I'm just like I don't know if I want to see it. I mean it has to be if they're gonna do it, it has to be like on an HBO.
Yeah.
Like it can't be on network because the shit that went on in The Office on NBC, they would get canceled in the first 30 seconds if they try to put that shit on network television now.
Yeah, it's quite
Because
unfortunate.
yeah, and so it has to be on a paid service where people, you know, can't get. I mean, that people probably will, but it's like, well, you're paying for the service, watch it or don't. But
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm nervous about it if it's true, but
Well, speaking of reunions, NSYNC is having a reunion. Did you see
I
that?
saw
Pretty
that. I
badass,
saw
huh?
that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Speaking of NSYNC and reunions, I haven't watched it yet, but our friends at Hot Ones had the entire NSYNC crew on Hot Ones, which
Oh
is the
yeah.
challenge that I
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
with the bomb and Apollo. So I want to watch that, see how they handle it.
Yeah,
But
that'd be pretty cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm seeing
so
all the TikToks and stuff by him, and I was like, I never thought I'd see Chris doing what his favorite TikTok NSYNC or what his favorite NSYNC song is on TikTok, one of those trends, and he's back here doing the left, right, and I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. Just 2023 right now.
what are you gonna do? 2023.
Oh, I can't wait. I if they have like a tour, if they come to Indiana, I will be getting tickets. I will be. so lit up at that concert. I will be doing every single dance move. I mean, it will be. I will. Oh my gosh, that it'll be so crazy. Oh my goodness, dude, I'll be like one of those Taylor Swifty fans out there, but it's be for NSYNC.
Dude, all right. So for one, speaking of Taylor Swift, the KC Bears game, I was so annoyed with the amount of times that Taylor Swift was brought up. A, B, and people are probably gonna blow me up for it, but like Taylor Swift does nothing for me. She does nothing. I'm not saying she's unattractive, but I'm like, I look at her, I'm like, nope, never. Like, no interest, nothing, not my type. She's a toothpick with bright red lipstick on, and that's her go to. And it's just like, nope, I'm good.
I was cracking up about the Bill Belichick comment where it was like, "Oh, Travis Kelsey has had a lot of amazing catches in the world, but this would be the best he's ever had or best catch he's ever had." I'm like, this is the new thing every day, and there's TikTok trends like, oh, and where the girls make like their boyfriends mad. It's like, oh, this who's that Taylor Swift's making this Travis Kelsey guy blow up. Like this trusted guy, no one heard of him, and the guy's like, you realize he's won two Super Bowls. Like he's probably the greatest tight end, and he's like, so I mean, and then the guys are doing it back to the girlfriend, like, oh, Taylor Swift's probably gonna blow up. They're like, do you know who Taylor Swift is? So I don't know. Taylor, I jammed to Taylor Swift back in the day in high school. Jammed to her in the weight room.
Yeah.
Probably why I didn't get a lot of things done. Um,
And
but
I'm not saying she's not talented, and she I mean she's obviously excellent at what she does, but everybody just like fawns
it's
over her,
fun. Yeah,
and
I
like
think yeah,
she's like a goddess, and I'm like she does nothing for me. Like, eh, you're
yeah,
talented, you're good, obviously you're successful. Not gonna ever talk shit about your profession and your talent and all that stuff, but I just see her, I'm just like, nah,
I think it kind of reminds me of when like Tony Romo and Carrie and Jessica Simpson
yeah,
when they were
mm-hmm,
together. It was kind of the same
yeah,
situation. I don't feel like Russell Wilson and Sierra have gotten like. I feel like they've gotten some attention, but they've never gotten the attention like Jessica Simpson and
yeah.
Tony Romo did. Like I feel like I know this is early. This is the early stage, so you can't really tell too much. But you know, I feel like that's that same situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But speaking of kind of Russell Wilson, I mean, it wasn't his fault that the Dolphins scored 70 points on the Broncos. I mean, Russell Wilson, I mean, hey, he actually, I honestly didn't think Russell Wilson played that bad that game. I thought he actually played a pretty decent game. They just scored 70 points on him. He don't play defense.
Right.
He not calling the defensive plays. I feel like at some point, if I'm the defensive coordinator, I'm going to be like, okay, yeah, something's not working right. You're scoring
I
every
mean,
play.
when's the last time you've seen a 70-point score in the NFL?
It was like 19, like 66 or something like that. Something ridiculous. And he could have scored 73 or 77 points if he really wanted to. He just wanted to show mercy. And the funny thing is, he used to be the ball boy for the Broncos back in the day. Bro, you let the ball boy put up 70 points on you is freaking awesome. I like I like I like him so much, and he made a comment the other day. He's like, oh, it was like, do you think beating Bill Belichick is hard? He's like, no. I play with Legos. I found a chick to marry me. Now that's freaking hard. I'm like, dude, he has the best quotes ever. Like this guy is so legit. Like he's awesome. He's awesome.
So only the 1940 Bears and the 1966 Washington team scored more points in a single game.
Jeez.
Fourth 70 plus point game in NFL history. There were the other three were the 1940 Bears, 73 in the NFL championship game, the 1966 Washington team 72, and the 1950 Rams scored 70. So there hasn't been a 70-point game since 1966. So what is that? 34 plus 23, so 57 years? Is that right? 24? Yeah.
Yeah, that seems about right. 67,
Yeah.
57? I don't know. I'm not very good with math. Yeah, that's the wrong guy.
24 plus 23. No, 57. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's
crazy.
crazy. Plus, Tyreek Hill is unbelievably quick. And like, I was watching the highlights of the game. Dude, Tyreek Hill's wide open. There was a couple times where he caught the ball and there's nobody within 20 25 yards from him. My thing is, how do you not know where this guy is at on the field?
Right.
Like, that's the thing is, he's not like just any other wide receiver. I feel like if you have tier
Well,
5, tier 4, tier 3, tier 2, tier 1 wide receivers, if I had if I had 5 receivers in tier 1, Tyreek Hill would be one of those tier 1 wide receivers in my
right.
book.
And that's the thing. If you give Tyreek Hill that much room, when he catches the ball, he's gonna embarrass you because he has so much room to work with and he's so quick. And it's hard. I mean, it's easy for us to sit here and be like, "What are you doing?" But it's hard because like if you press him and he makes the move, then he's wide open. If you lay off of him and give him room, he catches the ball and then he can make a move on you. So where's that in between of how much pressure do you give him? How much do you lay off of him? Do you double team him? Do you know? So I mean, obviously it's easy for us to sit there and watch on the TV and be like, "What the fuck are you doing? Why are you sitting so far back?" But they're like, "Well, if I press him, then he's just gonna do a juke move or a double step or and then he's gone and he's behind you, and then it's a 60-yard touchdown pass, you know." So, I mean,
And
someone with that talent, I can't even imagine, um, like playing one on one against those guys.
yeah,
Like
and
this is a stupid analogy because it doesn't. It's so different. But even when I was in college and I was on the flag football intramural team, like when I played defense, I was like, I'm not playing man to man. I'll play secondary and I'll play zone and I'll cover because I'm like, no, I'm not getting my ass beat. Like I'll when I'll see the quarterback's eyes, but it's like, and that's an intramural flag football in college. I'm like, no, I'm not playing man to man. I'll sit back. I'll watch the play. I'll help you wherever you are because I'm like, no, I'm not pressing that guy and he runs past me, then I look like a fool. And then you're looking at professional athletes like Tyreek Hill who can run what 22 miles an hour. Like how do you play that man to man?
dude,
It's like
and they have multiple guys on that team that are freaks of nature that have that same speed caliber. I mean, they have multiple guys. Like I think there's one guy on the team that says he is quicker than Tyreek Hill. And they scored 70 points without Jalen Waddle.
right. And
So
obviously like speed is important. Quickness is important, but the ability to
change
be
direction.
fast, plant your foot, change direction, make a move, and then get to that top speed right after that, which maybe Tyreek Hill's teammate is faster than him, but can he make those moves as quick as Tyreek and get to that top speed as quick as Tyreek Hill? And that's the difference.
Right, right. Yeah, like I said, if he's in my tier 1 wide receiver group just because his speed, the
It,
ability to change direction, like I feel like he's always more 9
so
times out of 10 he's going to be open.
so let me ask you this. Tyreek Hill, right? We've just talked about him. Speed, quick moves, get to that top speed, get open. Would you rather have that, or would you rather have a Devontae Adams, who's bigger, better hands, but I would say better route runner, like he's more disciplined? Which wide receiver would you rather have on your team? Or if you were a quarterback, which wide receiver would you rather throw to?
I would say if I'm a Josh Allen type quarterback, I would want a Tyreek Hill caliber player because I'm a gunslinger. And 9 times out of 10, I'm going to want to sling that ball. And if I'm Josh Allen, 90% of his turnovers is because he's throwing a deep ball or he's thrown into double coverage. He's trying to throw that long ball. Now, if I'm me personally, I would rather have a Devonte Adams just because I feel like he's more players at his body type and his way of playing the game and at his skill set are more consistent and stay in the
I was
game
gonna say,
longer than the players that are like Tyreek Hill because at one point you're gonna get hit, you're gonna get worked up, and the
yeah,
fact that if you're at the 5 yard line and for some and you can't run the ball, so you can't run the ball, your running game has been awful, you don't have any running, and you have to throw the ball, and you only have really the corner end zone to work at, you're gonna have a better chance with like a Devonte Adams than you are a Tyreek Hill in my
yeah,
point of view.
I agree 100%. I would rather have the Devontae Adams type because I think there's a higher trust factor there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's bigger. I mean, he has better hands than Hill. He's more consistent, and like you said, goal line situations. I mean, he can box someone out like a basketball player
Mm-hmm.
because he's got the body to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But but there is value in the Tyreek Hill. Like it's almost it's kind of like Devin Hester for
Yep.
Chicago. Like he was a flash in a pan and he had success, but really all he did was he was just freaking fast and he just got behind
Yeah.
defenders. But how many times did he get behind defenders and then drop the ball or fumble the catch or not make the play? So like I think consistency like that's where it's at.
Yeah, and they tried to work him at wide receiver. He just wasn't any
That
good
that's what I
at a
mean.
wide
Like
receiver. Yeah.
he could get open like more than most wide receivers in the league. He just didn't have the talent to actually catch the ball or make the play or.
Yep.
Whereas that's why like I would take Devontae Adams over Tyreek Hill just because like 3rd and 7, you got a big guy, get past the line, box him out, make the play, sure hands. Whereas, Tyreek Hill, he might be the big play guy. He might get behind the defenders.
You're right. You're right. So I'm excited. I know obviously Packers played yesterday, Bengals play Sunday. Um, but kind of talking about the Rodgers situation. I mean, obviously that's a freak accident. A few plays into the game, he's out for the season.
Yep.
That's you could hear probably a pin drop in that stadium when that happened because everybody in the whole world, especially the country, there's people across the whole world that was in tune watching that game, watching what Aaron Rodgers was going to do with the New York Jets, and then boom, it goes down.
Yep. I mean, obviously, everybody talked to me about it because I'm a big Packers fan. He obviously played for the Packers for 15 years, and he's like, "What do you think of the Jets?" And I go, honestly, like, I honestly said, "Is like, not scared, but like, I think the Jets could have made a legit run with that defense they have. Aaron Rodgers at the helm. They've got talent. Cobb went over there with him. Lazard went over there with him. He's comfortable with those two guys. So he's got two familiar receivers. The O line was good. And I was like, I mean, looking at that team, they could have made a legit run at the Super Bowl. And then that happens, and we've all seen what Wilson's done since then. I mean, I'd be surprised if he's a starter after week 10. Like I don't think he'll make it through week 10 as the starter. They'll find someone else to bring in. They'll bench Wilson, and unfortunately for Wilson, because I think he's someone who could be successful in the NFL, but he's just getting thrown in, pulled out, thrown in, pulled out, no consistency, and that messes with your psyche I always said that about Brady Quinn as well. I think he could have been a successful NFL quarterback, but he got drafted to the Cleveland Browns. He started a game, pulled a game, started a game, got pulled through the half, didn't start the next game, and that just messed with his psyche. And I think that's what's happening with Zach Wilson in the Jets. Like, I don't think he has any confidence in himself. I don't think the Jets have
100%.
confidence in Wilson, and I think that's messing him up.
No, you're right.
And I didn't they just bring in someone? They just signed another quarterback
Yeah,
behind
it's
him.
Trevor Seaman,
Trevor Simmons, yeah, Trevor Simmons. So
Seaman.
it's like, but it's like you can't. I've never been there, but just watching it, I feel like if you're an NFL quarterback, obviously you need confidence, right? You need to believe in yourself, more importantly, your team needs to be behind you.
Mhm.
And I think that's more important than having your coach behind you because the NFL is adult men playing a sport.
Mhm.
And when it comes down to it, they can say, F you, coach. We're a team. We're going to do this. We're behind this guy. And I don't think the
Gridiron
Jets have
game.
that. I don't think the Jets have that. I think they were behind Aaron Rodgers, but he went down. And then Wilson has played like garbage.
Hmm.
And I think it's just slop at the Jets at this point. Like there's nothing. The O line doesn't have faith in Wilson. The wide receivers don't have faith in Wilson. And then how are you gonna put together an offensive team when you're not supporting each other? And I think that's where the Jets are at this point.
No, I think you're exactly right, and I don't think Zach Wilson has. I think he's afraid to make a mistake while he's out there, and it's hard because sports, it's a high percentage of it is mental. I mean, if you go out there, whether it's basketball, whether it's football, whether it's baseball, if you go out there thinking you're going to miss a shot, if you go out there thinking you're going to go up there and strike out, if you go out there thinking you're going to miss this catch, you're going to miss this throw, you're going to do those things because you're psyching yourself out. It's a mental
Yeah.
thing. I mean, and you do need
And
your team
and
behind you.
and to that point where I think it's a little different. So like in basketball, right? It's a team sport, but there's also individual aspects of it, right? Like if you go out in the court and you can be like, I'm a good 3 point shooter. If I get the ball, I can throw up a 3 point. I can make it. However, in football, you can't be like, I can throw the deep ball. So if a guy's open, I can throw the deep ball, and you have to rely on that teammate, and that teammate has to trust in you because where in basketball it's you in the hoop to a point, right? But like if your wide receivers don't trust you, maybe they don't run as hard. Maybe they're like, plays over. I'm not going to finish my route. Or you do a wide receiver screen and it's like, he's not going to make this throw. I'm not going to make my block. You know what I mean? Like it's more compounding than in like a basketball situation. So it is mental. So like if your team doesn't believe in you and then you see that on the field watching film and you're like, that guy slowed down on his route when I thought he was open, or that guy didn't make the block when I made that wide receiver. Like that compounds, and like you said, it's psychological.
Zoe's over here. But you're right, and that's why you see teams that when they're not together preseason, they tend to start off the season sluggish. And you look at the Bengals, you look at other teams that have done that. So I'm interested to see how the rest of the season is going. There's a lot of teams that there's no. I mean, yeah. If you look at the NFC, obviously I think the 49ers, in my point of view, I think it is the team to beat in the NFC. But I feel like you have the Lions, you have the Cowboys, and you have I'm missing the Eagles. You have a few teams that are all kind of right there too, that are kind of fighting for those next couple spots. And then the AFC, I mean, you have a lot of teams that are 2-1. You have a lot of teams that are 1-2. You have teams that are 0-3. There's not. I
I
mean,
mean, yeah.
is
we
it?
we talked about it. Are the Dolphins for real? Like they just put up 70 points. Are they gonna? They're 3-0. Are they for real?
I think I
Or is
honest
this?
I think this could be the year that the Bills might be third in the. No, no, scratch that. I think they
I was
might be
gonna say
second.
Patriots and Jets.
They not win the division. I think they come second in the division. I think this
Yeah,
is the year that Miami. I now the thing is, if Aaron Rodgers was still playing for the Jets and say the Jets are 3-0, then I think the Buffalo Bills were going to be in a little bit of a struggle to
yeah,
be third in the division.
yeah.
But yeah, I think the Dolphins. I think this year could could be in win that
Yeah,
division.
I agree with you.
I'm just shocked kind of with the Chargers right now too, but also Eckler's been out, and then now Mike Williams is out for the season. Um, but Justin Herbert's putting up freakish stats, throwing 400 plus yards each game, few touchdowns each game, and they're not getting wins.
Yeah.
So
How
they,
long do you think Russell Wilson plays for the Broncos?
I
I
have
mean,
no.
ever since he's gone there, they're a dumpster fire. Did you see that interview with I don't even know who it was, but the Broncos player, I think he was a offensive lineman or defensive lineman. He's like, I'm sick of losing. I've been here for X
Oh
amount of
yeah,
years,
the
and all
defensive
we've done
guy.
is lost. I
Yeah,
forget who it was, but it's like
yeah.
that's not what you want to hear.
I don't know how long he's gonna be there. Sean Payton, I don't know. He was talking all that ish before coming on as the coach, and then you get 70 points dropped on you like that. Like now, the finger's gonna be pointed at you. You're gonna be on the hot seat. You're gonna be all over
Yep.
national television. Plus, it doesn't help but the fact that you made all those comments before the season. If you just came in as a coach, yeah, you're gonna still get put on blast, but you're not gonna be focused on with like a microscope like you are right now, in a way.
Right.
So
Right.
more on them than less, So like I said, you got the Chiefs lose first game of the season. I don't think the Chiefs have looked that good. They just played the Bears last week, and anybody who plays the freaking Bears are gonna look like the unlimited elite. And he's frozen.
Bull so far this year.
There you are.
So I mean, I think for the Chiefs, that was like a get back to our game type of game. Their offense had struggled. They were slow starting, and then they played the Bears. And Patrick Mahomes got sat in the third quarter, which by the way cost me like $300 because all he needed to do was throw 18 more yards, and two of my parlays would have hit, and I would have made $300. But I think for the Chiefs, that was their get back to the Chiefs ball game. Like, we are who we are. We know we're good. We've got the talent. Let's play football how we know how to play football. And the Bears just gave that to them. So I think moving forward, the Chiefs are going to be a force to be reckoned with because now, not that they needed it, but they saw it and their confidence is just way up here now.
I'm gonna need one more week. I think it's the Bears, and right now anybody that plays the
Yeah,
Bears looks like they can do no wrong. So I would say give me another week on the Chiefs because the week before that against the Jaguars, they didn't impress me at all. And honestly, Trevor Lawrence the last 2 weeks has not played like Trevor Lawrence. If Trevor Lawrence played last week like he's capable of, or 2 weeks ago, that's why I said I need another week or two on the Chiefs
so
because,
look at this Chiefs schedule though. So they just beat the Bears 41-10, right?
yep,
They play the Jets, who they're going to blow out.
yep,
They play the Vikings, who they're going to blow out.
yep.
They play the Broncos, who they're going to blow out. So that's what I mean. This beating the Bears like that is just starting their ride to just being the Chiefs that we know that they can be. Like they've got 3 games coming up where they should win by 3 touchdowns every single one of those games.
That's wild. Wow. Okay. Well, we'll see how that's going. But I think Zoe's calling it time for us to end this one because I think she's got to go out. But here coming up, we're going to be sharing some NBA basketball with you guys because the season's starting around the corner here in a few weeks. Preseason starts in a couple weeks. We had media day today for a lot of teams. So if you haven't checked out the Dallas Mavericks media day, you should do that. They had dares for like the new guys who got traded to the team, signed to the team, or were drafted. And one of the dares Luka Doncic gave Grant Williams was he had to flex after every time he answered a question. So in his 9-minute interview today, after every question he answered, he had to flex to the camera. And then another guy, Omax, he's a rookie who was drafted. Seth Curry said he had to talk in third person his whole interview. So he had to talk in third person his whole interview. So if you haven't seen that video, you should go check that out. But we will be talking about NBA coming up with that coming around the corner. Thank you for watching Higginsanity. My name is Jason Higgins, if you already didn't know. Obviously, you probably did know if you've already watched this much of the podcast and got to this part. But, yeah.
I'm Dan Slott. I'm the co-host. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, at Dansanity. Email us at dansanity@gmail.com. Give us comments, feedbacks, ideas, topics to talk about. I know it's NFL season, so we're both NFL fans, so some of the podcasts might get NFL centric, but we'll talk about anything. We talk about music, movies, TV shows, whatever's going on in the world. Give us ideas, give us topics. We do some shorts. We'll do whatever. So give us feedback. That being said, until next time, deuces.